Pinto sauce. I like that. Pinto sauce.
Pinto sauce.
3, 2, 1, 0.
You're listening to the Knives Templars. All right. Well, hey, welcome to the Knives Templars for the our 6th episode. We're growing and growing and growing. And before I get started, I just want to let you know that we sure are appreciating seeing all the downloads of our podcast and letting you know how much we appreciate it. With no further ado, let's just jump right in. And hey, guys, how are y'all doing? Odacir, Eric, Joey?
Doing great.
Chip, how's it going, man?
Yeah, man. Doing good. How are you?
Good. And Eric, how are you doing out there in Texas?
I'm doing absolutely awesome out here. It's been good weather lately.
I tell you what, we have the opportunity to get your weather the day after you get it. Oh, I guess 2 days after you get it, because then Joey gets it, and then I get it, and then Odacir's getting the rain. So the tornadoes that started off in Texas this week and worked their way up through Louisiana, came through Alabama the next night, yesterday or night before last, whenever, and now Odacir says it's 50 degrees and raining up there, and we're all enjoying a little warmer, cooler weather where we're all at right now. Anyway, hey, this show's about knife making, not meteorology, so I guess we ought to talk about what we've been doing since last time we talked. I'll just jump right in. Odacir, what have you been working on, brother?
Happy to be here tonight. Happy to be here with you guys again. It's always a pleasure to see you guys, Eric and Joey and Chip. We're missing Chris.
Yeah, but he's got great things happening to him, as we're seeing on the...
Chris is killing it up there, man.
So he's now
I'm happy for him. We got some news coming. I'm happy for him, man. He's doing
that's
great.
Awesome.
I'm actually jealous, to be honest.
Yeah, let's go ahead and just...
but on my side, man...
I was going to say, since we let the cat out of the bag a little bit, he can talk about it more. So he's at the Texas Select... Texas Cutlery Select over near Austin.
Yep.
And so he's been there today, and we've already found out that he is a Best in Show Tactical, I believe. And the other one was, is it Lone Star Maker?
Lone Star Maker.
Yeah, so he's got a Lone Star Maker qualification now. So, man, I'm surrounding myself with some cool people.
Yeah, man, those 3 knives that he took over there, beautiful, beautiful pieces.
Yeah.
Man, I wouldn't say nothing remotely critical of it. I mean, it's perfect. Those, especially that Damascus one with the green handle we were talking earlier today.
The Damasteel?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Tell you what, he's
piece.
definitely got his process down, man. He's got those chef knives in the bag.
We all hate him. Now we all hate him.
Beautiful.
We just hate him. I hate him. No, congratulations. But I will tell you, for you guys that here's talking about Chris Jones Knives, you can see his knives on SteelDogKnives.com, or you can also see him on the Knives Templar Facebook page, and he's got some gorgeous knives out there. But Odacir, aside from that, what do you got going on up there in the Baltimore, Maryland area?
Yeah, man, never changes. Little crazy weather, little crazy people. Made 2 knives, sold those 2 knives. So I'm happy about that too, and not much else to tell, man. Keeping my work going. I think I'm gonna change my name to Gandalf, as you shall not pass. The joke.
Yeah.
Because I gotta keep people from passing inspection. It's like it's a blessing and a curse. I mean, I make people mad all the time, but it's for their own good. I've seen some horrendous things, and I sent you a picture earlier today of a little peek of what I see every day. So yeah,
man, you could have put that
working. There is nothing
more.
more.
You could have put that rack and pinion back together with some duct tape in Alabama.
Probably. Probably
in Louisiana you could get away with it as well, but I'm not sure about up there in Texas. So.
Yeah, I don't know about other states. I don't know if I said it before. If I did, I apologize. But it's a shock for people that move from other states to Maryland, and when they go to get their vehicles tagged,
Yeah.
they have to go through inspection, and they land on a place like the shop that I work, and man, some people cry and but it's my own car. It doesn't matter. You still have to meet those minimum
Yeah.
specifications for Maryland.
Yeah.
It's
Well, what
Gotta
about
be compliant.
You've got a large
it's
Amish population up
shock.
there. What do you do when the Amish people come in with their buggies and everything? I mean,
Well, I check the horse's shoes and a little buggy and make sure they got nice springs for a smooth ride and good to go.
Make sure they're leather on their bridle.
Nice
and
reflectors,
Yeah.
reflect. No, they're good people, man. They make some good food. They have a little Amish market about 10 minutes from here. Amazing fried chicken that they make. Them chickens look like turkeys, man. Yeah.
Some free
I don't
range
know what
chicken.
they feeding. Yeah, I don't know what they're feeding those chickens, man. But those drumsticks,
my
amazing.
Making me
live
hungry,
over-
Odacir.
My folks live over in Delaware, so a large Amish community over in the Dover area, and I always enjoy them. And here in Alabama, we've got a large Mennonite community, and some of their restaurants are delicious. Eat more chicken.
The word is organic.
Yeah. Organic.
So, TheRiot,
Yep.
what have you been up to, brother?
Not much, man. Just doing my regular job, and I managed to put out 4 knives. Still working on the leather sheaths for them, but just kind of, doing my thing, and not really much. I don't work on the knives as much as I want to. Nearly not as much as I want to. Not like you guys. I see y'all working on the weekends and whatnot. My shop's like an hour away from the house, so it would be like going out of my way to come over here and do anything. So, but hopefully that'll change here soon. Me and my wife just finally sold my mother-in-law's house that was gifted to her. So we plan on building a house. So I'm gonna build a nice big metal shop behind it and bring all my tools to it. So that way I don't have to do all this traveling.
Yeah, there you go.
With
Yep.
internet service?
So,
That's my dream too, man.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm living in this small apartment. I have to drive 15 minutes to my little knife shop, and unfortunately, right now it's a buyer's market, and the prices are so high. I have to hold back. But as soon as I can, I want to buy me some property with a place where I can have a metal shop on the back.
yeah.
Make my own little thing. I will probably never leave the house again after that, because I'll be working on knives all the
Oh yeah,
time.
my wife's like probably dreading it because she knows that where I'm gonna be, like
Yeah.
95% of the time.
Well, when you
So-
get to
Hey, but it's a good thing, She always knows where you
when you
are.
get to
Yeah.
be my age,
Yeah,
your wife is
definitely.
happy when you take off and just get out of her hair for a while. So
It's like I wish you'd go make knives, Chip.
yeah. Since you're not going to do anything around the house, you might as well go make knives. So, Eric, how's the new shop coming along? I see you've built a tent on YouTube and moved some stuff out there.
Yeah, I got the little temporary holding spot for the anvils and the forge and some of my workbenches and stuff like that. I'm actually going to be pulling the siding off of it starting either tomorrow evening or Sunday morning, and try and get as much done as possible, because I'm only able to work on the shop aspect of it on the weekends, not very much through the week, because during the week I have to focus on knives and of course regular job and stuff like that, and still being a dad and a husband. So I try and spend a few of the days just focusing on that. And I told everybody from the get-go, when it comes to that shop, it's going to be done kind of when it gets done. And I'm not going to overly stress myself out over getting it set up, because, again, all of it is purely based on a hobby. And if I was a full-time knife maker, then maybe it would be a little bit more stressful and trying to, get it done on certain deadlines to be able to meet certain expectations. But I'm just kind of doing it as I do it and trying to save as much money as possible by, using the materials that I already have and taking my time to do a lot of the work myself, and it kind of is what it is. It's going to take as long as it takes, and I decided that whenever I originally decided to do the whole shop thing, I wasn't going to do many knives during that process or many knife builds for the YouTube channel. I still have, commissions that I have to complete and whatnot, but I wasn't going to do many of the knife builds, and I decided, yeah, well, that's kind of boring, so I started working on one last night, and it's going to be a really cool knife. It's my first knife with that Pops 8670, and it's going to be a cool Tonto. I got a 5-foot bar from them from Texas Blade Show, and it's 1/4 of an inch thick. It's going to be a very, very thick Tonto, but it is going to be absolutely awesome. And
yes, it will.
It is super thick.
Yeah, I was going to say for the listeners, we can see that.
Yeah, that thing is thick.
Yeah. So
1/4 inch.
So you're going to keep it that full thickness, right?
Yes. So it'll have some sort of a distal taper going through the blade because of I'm going to be bringing the bevels up a little bit higher, going towards the tip, and it's going to have some sort of visual distal taper, but I'm not going to be doing a distal taper and then grinding the bevels. It'll just be done by default. And I'm trying to decide whether I want to do a hollow grind on the bevels because it would be really striking to do kind of that hollow grind throughout the main bevel, and then on the tip do the flat or convex grind so that you get that transition line from the yes. So I think I kind of want to do that, but I don't want the tip to be too thick. So I'm going to kind of play with that and figure out what I want to do on that. But I'm excited because that's going to be the one that I use those bone scales on. So it's going to be an epic looking build, but it's going to be a little bit different than what I typically do because I'm going to focus on making this as clean as possible. It's not going to have any texture. It's not going to have any forged texture or anything like that. It is going to be the most crisp, clean thing with I'm going to be doing a hamon on it, and it is just going to be how you would expect a Tonto or a katana to look. It's going to be very elegant and just polished. That's the goal, at least.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I love a heavy knife. Most people will get some of my knives and they're like, "This is so heavy," but I don't want a knife that weighs your arm down. But I love a knife that's just got some meat to the steel. It just feels good in your hand. So yeah, it looks like people can't see. We can see the knife you're making because we're all up on video here. So as you introduce that to the public at some point in time, they'll see what you're showing us.
Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be a really cool Sunday. It'll be a really, really cool knife. What were you going to say about Pops?
Yeah.
I was just gonna tell Eric you're gonna like that Pops 8670. It holds a really good edge. So
Can you talk about a little bit this 8670?
I was going to say we've seen a lot of people posting on the Pops Facebook page knives that they make, and everybody is raving about this 8670 right now.
They have it priced. It's really not that expensive. It's a lot cheaper than their other steels that they sell. They're in-house. But just trying to get some...
I can tell you this. One of the things that they had mentioned, because they did a full-blown kind of sales pitch thing to me. The whole point behind this particular steel was they wanted to make it to where you could just get it and then make knives straight out the box with it. You don't have to anneal it. You don't have to thermocycle it, do any normalization cycles. You can go ahead, cut it out, full-blown stock removal, and then do your just heat treat. Just straight from, it's ready to drill, it's ready to do everything, and you can just do your profile, do your grinds, and then go straight to heat treat and call it good. It's a very simple steel to work with. That was the whole point behind them making this.
Easy to heat treat?
Supposedly it forges really well.
Yes.
Very simple in which
and it
aspect?
Gets hard.
Because I buy my steel from New Jersey Steel Baron. either the Odacir V2 or 1084 or whatever steel that I want to buy from them, and it comes a nice bar stock, whatever width and length that I want, and thickness and whatever. I do the same thing. So, is there like a particular advantage of this new steel, or is just that it's?
I don't know if
I
I'm sure like that steel you're buying is spheroidized steel. I don't know if did they talk to you, Eric, about if there's another process that they do where the structure is more like a perlitic structure, which makes it more comparable to an easier heat treat or easier to forge or whatever. Did they mention anything about it?
Well, it is something. It is easier to heat treat in a regular propane forge. You don't have to have a heat treating oven. It doesn't have that like real. I wouldn't say 1095 has a fancy heat treat, but it does if you actually dig into 1095 and you know that there's soak times, there's all of that. With this stuff, you don't really have to have that long soak time. You pretty much bring it up to temp and then you quench it. You don't have to sit there and let it soak for 5 to 10 minutes or anything like that. I do always suggest that on any steel, even 1084, that you do at least have a 2-minute soak cycle to make sure that it actually gets an even temp all the way through it, because that's just good. Yeah, it's a good habit to have. This is going to be basically the same thing. So once you get it to the right temp and you quench it, it's very simple. You can do it on home forges. It doesn't have to be in an oven. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. That was kind of the point behind this. And the reason why they mention the whole being able to just drill it right out the box, being able to cut it right out the box, all that stuff, is because even though some steels come ready to do that, it really depends on the thickness of the steel and the different types of steels that you get, whether it's laser cut, whether it's water jet cut, whether it's, stamped. Any of those things can work harden the edge, and actually when you go to start cutting into it, can start stripping the teeth off your bandsaw blades, things like that. And this, I didn't have that issue with. I was able to start cutting it right off the bat. I was ready to drill right off the bat. And, it's not something that air hardens. So unlike, 5160 can air harden, 1095 can air harden. Whenever you start drilling through it, if you drill it and it gets a tad bit hot and you lift up and it hits that air or that drilling oil, it can instantly become too hard to drill through again. So there's a lot of things like that you have to think about.
That is what was happening to my 5160.
Yeah, 5160 can air harden.
You
really
wondering
quick.
what was happening?
Damn, why is it it started cutting it really nice? What's going on now?
Yeah. I mean, with 5160 work hardened sometimes too when you're forging it. I mean, it's like
yes, it does.
Impossible. Yeah, it's like impossible. You like, man, here we go. We got to do a anneal cycle.
Yeah.
Normalization.
I really like 5160. Every 5160 that I used came out nice, man. No complaints. I have no complaints about 5160. As a matter of fact, it's one of my favorite steels. It's easy enough to work with.
Without a doubt, it's my favorite steel to work with. I mean, you could look at half the titles of my YouTube videos and they all have 5160 in it. I've loved 5160 since I first started working with it. Best edge retention almost out of anything I've ever had, and the easiest heat treat. I did a video a while back where I actually test heat treated 5160 from quenching it from 1420 degrees all the way up to 1600 degrees. And I did 1420, 1475, 1500, 1525, 1550, all the way up to 1600. And did snap test to look at the grain structure for all of them. And that is easily the most forgiving heat treatable steel that you can work with. 1084 is awesome, 1080 is awesome, but 5160, man, I was able to get an edge retention that was pretty decent out of quenching that bad boy at 1450 degrees. It had the same edge retention as 1550. It was nuts.
What was your soak times on the test pieces?
So on the test pieces, each one of them was 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Yep. Yeah.
So guys, I tell you what,
it was awesome.
Pops, Yeah, Pop's Knife Supply has come on as a sponsor for the next year with the Knives Templars. So let's take a second so people can figure out where to go to find out about things that Pop's has to meet all of your knife making needs.
Pop's Knife Supply was started 40 years ago and is owned by 4 professional knife makers. Andy Roy of Fiddleback Forge, Alan Searles of W.A. Searles Knives, Joey Berry of JB Knife Works, and Dirk Lutz of Dirk Lutz Knives make a great team of owners carrying on the traditions and business started by James Poplin. Over 4 decades in business is a testament to the best customer service with same-day shipping on weekdays. Pops only charges actual shipping, and any shipping differences are refunded on your orders. Everything you need to make knives, from grinding, steel, pin stock, heat treating, and more, can be found at Pops. Visit them at popsknife.supplies. And now, back to the show.
All right. So, go out and visit Pops, and if you're there, be sure and let them know that you heard about us. Heard about them on the Knives Templars. So for guys, since we last talked, last time I was on the show, Terrio was not here. He was tied up with some family things, and the 3 of us came together, and I had talked about I was making some what I call little flesher knives. They're 2 3/4 inch blades, like 6 7/8 overall length. It's really a perfect little EDC type knife. And I have become a production facility. And I will tell you, they're nice because they sell very easily. They are nice because in the pre-show we were talking about all my tooling and everything is set up, and it's just, one right after another. And but I feel like I'm just cookie cutting one after the other, after the other, after the other. So it's not that I don't want to make them. It's just that I love variety. Every knife is a piece of art for me, so I like to do the different things. So what I've been able to do is I've been able to change a little bit of the handle design, or a little, tiny difference in the shape of the blade. But everybody that's wanting one is also wanting them with deer antler. So I have been raiding Pet Depot and Pet Supplies and every other pet supply place in town, and I've come up with some nice antler to make them. But I will tell you, drilling into antler, my shop smells like death. It is bone. It smells like bone, and it's just not a good smell. I have blown it out. And it's not like it overpowers you or anything. It's just that smell. So tonight, before we got started, I had actually split 3 pieces of antler and got them sanded down flat, because even though using a wide blade bandsaw and it goes through it pretty darn good, there's still a little bit of shaping to get them nice and flat. So I will tell you, my eyebrows are covered in bone dust, or antler dust, and my shirt is, and my shop is. So
and you smell like toenails.
And I smell like toenails. I smell like toenails. So, but they have been accepted real well. And the neat thing about it, through this repetition, making the same thing over and over and over, is I can't really say each one gets better, but you learn so many things about, because you're grinding out the same grind on your bevel each time, you're seeing the subtle differences in the way you set up, and you actually just start getting better. So I don't know if I wouldn't necessarily call the knives better, but I would say that they seem a little more refined, each one that I make. So I've got 9 more of those to make. Then I've got some culinary knives, and I've got a birthday gift and a to make for a friend of mine for his brother, and then I'll be caught up, and then I hope to go back on to that old, I'll just make what I feel like making and put it up for sale, But I do have a funny story to tell you. See what you guys think. So what kind of warranty? This is from my last couple of weeks. What kind of warranty do you guys offer on your knives and sheaths?
I'll go first on that
Wow.
one. So of course, lifetime warranty on the knives and the sheaths and the edges and stuff like that. Of course, if someone breaks one of my knives, I would be very surprised, and they would have had to really tried to do it, because the test that I put them through before they actually go to the person is absolutely the most ridiculous crap ever that no one would really do. And but just in case someone wants to baton a chef's knife through wood, they can do that with mine. But I do a lifetime warranty on any of the things, the sheaths, the blades, the edges. If someone wants me to resharpen one of the knives, they can just send it to me, and as long as they just cover shipping, I will definitely resharpen however many knives they buy from me and send it back to them for the life of me, for however long I live. They will have that. So, but some of that stuff does have to be within reason. If someone does the craziness that happened with yours, we'll see.
Yeah, my warranty, and I'll expand on it a little bit more, is as long as I'm breathing, I'll cover it, but I'll expand on that in just a little bit. Odacir, what about you?
Never thought about it. Never had anything bad happen to one of my knives. They're all still working, and but yeah, I guess. I mean, I had one that came for a resharpening, and that was it. I mean, I don't know. And I never thought about it. I never looked at it as a business per se. So, but yeah, I mean, if something happened and one of my knives break, I mean, I guess I'll buy it back, or and put it on a wall, as a failure or something. But yeah.
Joey, do you?
I mean, that's an interesting thing. I mean, I never looked at it as a business.
What about you, Joey?
Yeah. Actually, you're the first person that ever asked me that. I'm kind of like Odacir. I never really thought about it. I don't really have any notoriety like some of these other knife makers. So, but
yeah.
If I, had to put something on it, I would say lifetime. I would back up, product that I make and put out.
Yeah. Well, I will say that.
The thing is,
Go ahead, Odacir.
Go ahead, Chip.
I was going to say that
okay. The thing is, when you
when you say go ahead, you
okay,
have to
Chip,
let the person
go ahead. Chip, go. Oh wait.
I guess I'll talk then.
Well, it's my turn. No, so on my website, there's warranty, and it explains it. As long as I'm breathing, I will warranty a knife for life, and it gives me the option to repair or replace defects caused by either my workmanship or the materials. It does not cover damage caused by excessive or aggressive use. And we all know what that looks like. I mean, if you see a knife that's just, the tip is broken off, they've stuck it in something and twisted it, or if somebody has been batoning it and they come in and you've got a knife that's just all marred up. I mean, that's not how I build my knives. Didn't say they won't take that. I'm just saying I don't make my knives, to go beat them up in the woods until this whole batoning thing wears off. At some point in time, people will quit using the word and feel like they have to baton wood. But I recently, this past week, a very good customer, a wonderful guy, but it's just a funny story. He's bought a couple knives from me, and just a gracious customer. So if you're listening, just listen. So he sends me an email, and he says, "Hey, my sheath's coming apart." I'm like, I've never had that happen before, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, but it's like, well, what happened? He says, well, I just wear it into the forest. He's a big backpacker. He says, I pulled my belt through it, and my belt's got some type of clip, and it's real tight, and it's kind of come loose. And, I've got a friend that's a leather guy that can fix it, but I thought I would give you the first opportunity. I'm thinking to myself, of course I'll fix it. I do, I will warranty that with no problem. Well, anyway, he asked me another couple questions through text messaging, and then I said, hey, just mail it to me and I'll fix it. And then I get a final final text message, and he says, "Well, thank you so much, and so it's holding up well, but I was in the forest and I fell about 40 feet down a cliff, and that must be when it came loose."
You think?
And do I owe you anything, to fix it? And I'm like, no, just send it back to me and I'll fix it, because it's 20 minutes and some thread and I'm back again. But I just thought that was the most funny thing in the world, that we go back and forth on me fixing this thing, and only to find out in the last message is, I fell off the side of the Grand Canyon, and it came apart. So, but hey, you know who you are, and I'm tickled to death to fix that sheath for you. It's not a big deal, But I said I was making these knives, and I'm using antlers. You guys ever use any antlers to do full tang knives? I know you're using some for some hidden tangs, but have you ever done full tang?
No,
Not full tang.
Not a full tang. But I have used. I don't know if any of you have ever used vintage micarta, but it can leave a pretty good stench in the old workshop too. You were talking about how that antler stunk up your shop.
Right.
That micarta. I don't know. I don't know if it's because it's just been sitting in some warehouse somewhere for like 40 or 50 years. It tends to have a different smell than the new micartas.
Well, I'll tell you.
I found micarta to be stinky anyway, so
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I'm going to be using micarta anytime soon. I had a few handles that I made before, and it just leaves a nasty smell all over the place. Very chemical kind of smell, and it's very, it bothers me.
Yeah.
I G10 on the other hand, for me, G10 has a bit of a sweet kind of smell. It's just that very fine powder that comes when you're grinding it is not good for your lungs. So wear a mask or a respirator. But it smells. G10 it smells way better than micarta. I hate micarta. I don't think I'm going to use it anymore.
Well, I like micarta, and some of those vintage micartas are so beautiful.
The last one you did, right?
The butterscotch.
Yeah,
it's so.
Has a nice sheen in there, man.
Yeah, it's
that
so
was a beautiful
silky,
knife.
so silky smooth, man. I mean, just so silky smooth and so pretty. But like I said, it leaves one heck of a stench. Chip had mentioned the antler, but no, I've never used an antler on a full tang. But I intend to, because I have a friend of mine that has a bunch of antler that he said he'd be willing to give to me.
Well,
So
when you get that antler, trying to find good handles in it and straighter sections, this, that, and the other can be challenging. But then you have to split it down the middle, and then you have to sand both sides perfectly flat so they come together on the handle. Mm-hmm. And the next thing is how to get those pins to go through there, because traditionally, we will clamp or tape or whatever your method is for sandwiching your handles on a knife blade, and then you just run your drill through straight holes. But with antler, you've got something that's a natural product, or it's not perfectly flat, and you're trying to run the drill press. Now, my very first one, I did one, and I probably went off at about 20 degrees in the other direction. It's actually the knife that I carry, and of course I can hold it up for you guys. It's this one right here. But with that particular knife, it's one of the little fleshers. Matter of fact, it's on my website if people want to see it. But I had to come up with a way to get these pins to drill straight through, especially when people started wanting lanyard tubes and stuff put into them. And I finally discovered it, and it's probably somebody else is doing it out there. But here's a Templar's tip for you guys. So when I split the antler with a bandsaw, make sure you use a wide blade on your bandsaw, and when you do that, you can then sand it down, because that wide blade goes through there a lot cleaner than a thin blade or a blade that's not as wide that'll tend to fish over and create a lot more unevenness. So then you sand it up on your sander and get it nice and flat. And then what I do is I tape with blue tape or whatever your favorite tape is. I tape the handle to the blade, and then I drill through one side. But when I drill, I don't traditionally, as we put our blades down and hold them flat and then take the drill press through. Well, when you're coming down and you're hitting that, you're putting that pressure when you start coming through that hole. And that's when that antler wants to roll or turn a different way. And it may not roll that much, but when you put your pins in, you see you've got these kind of micro gaps and stuff that, it's not as flush as it would be. So instead what I do is I hold that handle perfectly flat and level, and then I just raise it up to the spinning bit on my press and just slowly guide it through so it doesn't blow out the other side when it goes through. And I do my holes that way. And then when I want to drill the other half of the antler, I tape both halves together with blue tape again. I take the knife completely out of it. And while they're taped together, then I take the drilled side, turn it up, and hold it completely flat, and slowly raise it up to the drill bit, and just slowly run it through perfectly straight. And the last 4 or 5 knives I've made have come out perfect. I have found the perfect way to drill antler. So I will tell you, when you get around to doing some antler, or anybody else is out there doing it, if you've got a better way, please post it and tell us out on the Knife Templars. But I tell you what, it has just been a perfect way of putting the holes through those antlers. Eric, you were going to say something.
So it looks like Eric's got a process. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a better way.
No, I do rounded handles all kinds of different ways, but one of the easy ways to keep that from rolling and all that is if you actually just take a piece of wood and you use a big round file or a half round file and you file in a groove. You can actually set the handle inside the groove and it'll keep it from rolling on you. So you can just put it in that little notch, and then you can kind of make sure that it's level, and then you can drill down into it, and it won't risk the blowout on the other side. So there's a few things that you can do with that.
Yeah,
I was
the first
actually
time
thinking of that when Chip was talking about it.
Yeah, the first time I ever drilled through antler was I was watching the very first video and very first antler knife I made was when you had taken the 2 pieces of that multicolored ply type wood and you put it on a piece of micarta and you glued a section of antler in there, Eric. And I actually sat and watched you do that, and that's how I made my very first antler slash wood-handled knife. And so that wasn't very difficult, but and matter of fact, even splitting it down the middle went perfect as well because everything's all glued up and you've got a flat surface. But when you're dealing with just a piece of antler and you and the knife, it can get kind of tricky out there. So, hey,
something like that right there. I know they can't see that, but this is going to be pretty easy to do because it's mounted to a squared object. So
now, what
I
knife
can
is
easily cut through
So
it.
do y'all do any kind of grinding and shaping to the antler in any sort of way?
It depends.
I mean, of course, you don't want to mess up the you don't want to mess up the outside where it's dark and stuff. You want to try to keep that and preserve that.
It depends on the antler, and if I just go back to Eric's video that I watched a year and a half or so ago of him making this knife, he had hoped to keep a lot of the outside texture and only was able to keep a small portion of it, but the handle still looked beautiful because that bone really polishes up. So it really just depends on the piece of antler you got, because some are really groovy, some are groovy, man. Some are, you know. Sorry,
I actually have this.
Really groovy.
You're holding up
nice.
You're holding up a piece of steel for our listeners to see.
Well, no, I was just saying I was I was wanting to put antler on this knife and I have it set up where I wanted to peen it on with some nickel silver pins.
Yeah.
So,
I think you need to go with some piece of elk on that. I would look for a big piece of elk.
yeah.
Given the
Something like this.
well, what you guys don't see is
There's
he's
some
holding
moose,
up a
too.
really beautiful knife right now, profile, and it's got a good size grip on the blade. So elk's going to give you more room to work with versus say whitetail. Maybe mule
I've
deer.
seen some pieces of moose antler too.
Yeah, moose is another
Moose
one. They say
antler?
moose looks a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
like ivory when it's polished out as well. But
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
yeah, you're going to have to go with something a little bigger than
I've seen
whitetail.
a few at the local pet shop. I'm gonna take a look at it if I can find a couple of nice flat pieces of moose antler. I think I'm gonna get it. I want to try that.
Yeah,
So,
I think
one of the
antler
things-
would look good on this.
One of the things to think about whenever you want to do the real rough textured antler and you want to keep the texture is trying to decide where you're going to put your pins, and if you're going to try and either dome the pins and peen them and keep that that pin profile, or if you want to actually texture the pin to follow the grooves of the antler, because I've done both on that, either made them to where the pins were exactly how they were supposed to be, or actually went in there and just shaped the head of the pins to follow the texture of the antler. And
Yeah, I
both are a
watched
pain in the ass.
Alex Steele recently made a knife, and he domed the pins for the first time. And I haven't seen you do, Eric. Maybe you've got a video as well. He softened the brass up first, and then he went and slowly went in and domed them. And I was like, I'm going to try that. So I did the same thing just on a test piece and clamped it into my vise and sat there and domed it over. So at some point in time, I think I'm going to try that. Didn't do that on what I'm doing right now, but it's a neat process.
When you say doming, you're talking about on the process of pinning it, and you'll be hitting with the hammer, or you're just making a little round tip to it.
Well, when, the ones that I've seen, it's domed and it's domed out, almost like a little smooth bolt. It's got a little cap on it. It goes through, and then on the other side, it's cut just enough to allow enough material to dome it over, and it will spread out, and you can shape it out and do a little finessing with it.
Yeah, let me grab something. I know the listeners won't see it, but I want you to see that. Okay, I domed that one too. Okay, give me just a second. Keep on
All
going.
right. So the name of this particular
So,
episode
again-
is good. Yeah.
Doming
this
the pins.
right here,
Yeah.
you can't really see in it, but you've got one that where there's a head on it, and that's kind of domed, and then you have one where you would just dome over the end of it. And people do it both ways. I've got a friend that's local who makes his own pins. Like, he actually sits there and does all of the work on his pins and makes them perfect to fit an actual tang, to where he actually finishes the ends of them, and then with just the pressure of where his hole is through his tang and where that pin is, because it's so perfect, it will hold everything together. He doesn't even have to epoxy it, but he sits there and he has his little magnifying glass and he's just doming that pin and perfectly rounding them, and they're all silver, and he pushes them in, and that's how they're finished. They do not have any sanding on them, nothing, and it has just that
Grinding.
little pin head.
So
Yep.
So the name of this episode is going to be, instead of "Do you hear what I hear?" it'll be "Do you see what I see?" And it's like, nope, it's a podcast.
Exactly like you had what you're holding up right there, Odacir.
So Odacir
Yeah,
is holding
so
up
the
a
way I
knife
did
that
this
has
one-
domed pins.
So it's just a little bit, I don't know, it's sticking out right there, just a little dome. And the way I did it, I put my pin on a hand drill, and I brought it to my 400 grit belt and just rocked it side to side until it made that little dome, and then stick it in the handle and measured it and did it the next side, and it just sits nice and perfect. I mean, I know they can't see it, but you can see that right there, a little reflection just sticking out like a little fish eye.
Yeah.
It looks really nice. This one is sold already, by the way, too.
Nice.
You know, you're gonna be
So you didn't actually use the
going-
hammer. You just domed it and measured the length.
yes.
Got it.
Rounded them off.
And to keep the pin in, all I did was cut a few notches into the pin on the sides of the pin,
Yep.
like a little glue traps, and then put it in there. I mean, this hidden tank don't actually need a pin. It's just there to look pretty, you know, a little extra something there.
aesthetics.
Little stainless pin. I mean, my tank goes all the way almost to the end of the handle. So enough space there and glue traps inside to keep it in.
All right, guys. Well,
Love it.
Beautiful knife.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thanks.
Let's take a moment and mention one of our sponsors so we can continue to pay for this show. Be right back. Hey guys, what was your source of inspiration when you first decided to make knives? You know, many go to the books and also some go to the web, but many also head to YouTube for videos. Well, you know, we are fortunate enough to have Eric Rivers from the Rivers Experience as a co-host on the Knives Templars. But you know what? He's also a sponsor. And I tell you, 27,000 followers can't be wrong in following his skilled and educational regular videos that teach the fine arts of making beautiful knives. I know because I'm a subscriber to his channel and I learned at my pace and without making those mistakes by walking in the dark regarding knife making. Be sure and check out his channel, The Rivers Experience, on YouTube or his website at theriversexperience.com. And now back to our show. We want to encourage you to go out and visit the Rivers Experience because it's got a lot to offer. As you heard at the end of our advertisement there, you can see our buddy Eric on the riversexperience.com, or more importantly, go out and subscribe and see him out there on YouTube. He's doing a lot of great stuff for the knife making community. So guys, I have something cool. I am one knife sale away from being able to buy a new forge. And I know I only need one burner, but I'm going to turn all three off, or all two of them off. And I'm buying the deluxe 3-burner Majestic Forge. Joey Terrio, what do you say about that?
Nice.
Am I going to be happy?
I think that's awesome. I think that's a step forward for you. Better than the what do you call your current forge?
The Dragon.
The Dragon.
Yeah, the Dragon. The Dragon. It's the wash tub
Dragon.
in Alabama.
You're
Clay
gonna
Forge.
you're gonna love it.
Yeah, I
You're gonna love the.
I have this love affair with my old forge. I was actually telling it that I'm not going to get rid of you. I love you, and I can't see myself getting rid of it. Maybe I'd sell it someday or something. But yeah, it was such
You're
a
just
neat.
gonna roll it in the corner of the shop.
Maybe, yeah, and maybe I can use it because it's got a chimney on it. Maybe I can run that outside and use it as a shop heater or something at some point in time. But
You know, the minute he fires up the new forge, the Dragon will be in the corner and be like, "Chip, you cheating on me?"
like, yeah, I'm cheating on you with propane and propane accessories. I used to use
Nice.
charcoal, but now I've gone propane and propane accessories. Yeah, so you
Yeah, man,
with
that's
your
really
Majestic now, does that come with it's got a hardened brick in it, and then it's got a brick that sits on top to protect that brick, or how does it come to you, and how did you set it up, Joey?
So it's there's not a whole lot of setup. It comes with a gas regulator. I think it's a 30 or 40 psi regulator. Comes with the hose. The only thing you have to put on there is the actual burners, the jets. It's a rail that sits on top and
Right.
it's bolted on there. I think it's
Yeah, it says like a 10-minute setup.
bolt or something. Yeah, it's and the bottom has brick, fire brick, 2600 degrees fire brick, I believe is what it is.
Is that
And
hard
then
or
the
soft brick?
sides, it's hard
Okay.
brick.
Okay.
And then the side is that ceramic. It's rigidized. It's their proprietary blend of rigidized.
It's already got
kinda
the
like
glass in
K-wool.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. But
The wool.
I mean-
you're talking about the wool, right?
yeah, it's rigidized. It's
they've
solid.
already-
It's 1
okay.
inch thick.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
I thought it was cotton.
yep. What? I'm sorry. What's that, Odacir?
I thought it was cotton, not wool.
Yeah, well, when you set up your cotton forge, you let us know how long that goes, or how that goes, and how long it goes. For you, so.
I was like,
And if you
I
need
was
some
kind of
cotton,
confused. I was like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah, we've got many cotton fields around us here, so maybe I need to get one of those, but I don't think I will. But it's
Yeah.
got the glass wool already in there. It's rigidized. The brick is in the bottom. How has it held up over time for you? I mean, any issues?
So, of course, if you do any kind of forge welding in it, it will eat up the brick. But what I've done was, I've I bought some fire bricks online and cut one in half,
Right.
or just like a little ledge. And if I'm, doing any kind of forge welding, I just set a billet on top of that, because the borax just eats through fire brick and it gets really nasty. It's all sticky. But I will say that it would be very, very easy to change the floor in it.
Uh-huh.
Because I think they're 4.5 by 9 inches, so they're regular, and I think they're 1.25 inch tall bricks. So you could easily buy bricks online, fire bricks online, and
Yeah,
change
a
it
local
out.
Tractor Supply's got
gotten
fire
really,
brick that size. Yeah. So yeah,
if it's gotten real yucky, you could change it easily.
as they said, it was like 2 pins and it opens up. But from what I've seen, it's got great reviews. I do like a lot of the forges I've seen on Amazon and this, that, and the other. It's just everyone that everyone gets, you see that they get it, and then they're having to paint on the rigidizer and this, that, and the other. And I thought, well, it's really not a big difference in cost. It's got good reviews, already comes pretty much assembled, and you just got to turn it on and start it up and get going. How hot's it get on the outside?
And it also comes with some.
How hot is it on the outside?
It comes with some. On the outside,
Yeah.
I wouldn't put my hand on it.
Okay, it's hot. It's hot.
When it's rolling. Yeah. And they also say do not block it off. But if you look on Forge and Fire, which they have the Majestic 3-burner Forge Deluxe on the show, and those guys are always blocking the forge off.
I got you.
Yep.
And they're always blocking it off. And if you do block it off, it'll heat up the sides and the paint will peel off. But I mean, it's a forge, so
yeah, that's what they make grill paint for.
Now we'll say, you can get some.
I block mine off both sides.
Yeah, I mean,
I got a little hole in the front so I can see what's going on in there, but the back is completely blocked off.
Yeah, and it comes with some putty to repair the inside, the rigidized K-wool if it gets cracks or whatever.
Yeah.
And normally I see typical cracking around where the burners are on top, on the piece that's on the top of the lid.
Yeah.
And just every now and then I'll check it, but I hadn't got any really bad cracking because they actually glue it onto the little sheet metal housing that it's in.
Yeah. What do you?
But you also can reorder it.
What do you set it on? How do you have it set up?
I have mine where I'm at here in Louisiana. I have mine set to it's like 9 psi.
No.
And I can reach for.
What do you have it setting on? I mean, is it?
I have a stand that I built.
Oh, okay.
No, it doesn't have any legs. I made a stand for it.
Yeah.
Where I set it where it's about chest level with me.
Yeah.
Where I go straight from the forge to my anvil. But
I got mine on cinder blocks.
Yeah, I made mine out of angle iron and tubing, and I hang stuff off of it, tongs, and it's on wheels. I can move it around.
I've got an old gas grill that I was thinking about putting a piece of cement board on and just setting it on top of there. So I don't know.
Yeah, and it's not heavy. Yeah, I mean it's not like it's heavy or anything, but you should enjoy it, man. I mean,
just know that whatever you put under it's gonna cook.
Yeah.
See, mine's open. Yeah, I left the bottom open because I looked under there when both burners are rolling.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. You can't see it. You know how like on some fire bricks, if you look at where the burner's hitting the brick directly, you look under and you can kind of see it's red. These are not. These don't get red.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll put a couple pieces of cinder block or something up on top of it as well. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll got a lot of friends that weld and this, that, and the other, and maybe it'll give me a reason to go out and actually learn to weld. But yeah,
you should learn how to weld.
Yeah, I mean, I can.
Mine is just a rolling rack.
Yeah,
I can sputter.
Yours is nice. That table's nice though.
I can sputter steel on steel. I wouldn't necessarily call it welding. The pieces are kind of stuck together when I'm done, but I don't know. Enough YouTube videos. And
I actually have a background in welding, so I actually went to trade school for it. So.
Oh my gosh! You need to come to North Alabama for a weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, man. We can all get together and build Chip a table for his new forge.
Sounds like a winner. I've got 3 bedrooms in the upstairs, and everybody's got their own bath. So,
and I'll cook some shrimp etouffee.
All right. I look forward to that. Look forward to that.
I like the way he said it. Say it again.
Some shrimp etouffee.
There you go.
That's like you saw the knives I put out on I kind of gave it a name, the Rougarou.
Yeah, I know. I saw that, and I'm like, I make a Rougarou.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yours looks nicer than my Rougarou.
I don't know about all that,
but you know what I thought? I was like, cool. Joey's a Bigfoot dude. He's a Bigfoot dude like me.
Actually, over here, the Rougarou is not a Bigfoot. It's like a mythical creature that the Acadians supposedly saw while they were leaving Nova Scotia. And once they rounded Florida and got into around Louisiana, they would say they saw this wolf man-looking beast in the woods.
Right. A werewolf kind
of.
Yeah,
it was just a Bigfoot. That's all.
Yeah.
I have Bigfoot on my knives. I push the whole Bigfoot thing. So anyway, yeah, that was just kind of cool. I thought, hey, we've got a love connection. We'll be back in 2 and 2. So how's the old secret sauce of quenching fluid coming up for you, Odacir? Still working out?
Oh yeah. It's fun.
Still the world's.
It gives a little extra heartbeat when you're doing it.
Still the world's biggest secret, and that's just fine. But
yeah. No, I'll keep that for myself. I don't want no liability,
Man.
But I'm telling you, man, if you try, you're gonna love it, and you will not turn back.
I couldn't push myself to do it, Odacir. I was like, I almost got 5 gallons of your product.
Secret sauce.
Your secret sauce. That's why I said your product.
I promise, man. You'll try it. The moment you try it and you see, I mean, you've seen, and I sent you videos of the hardness of my blades.
Yeah.
And it's.
Oh, it's no joke. Man. It's no joke, but
And it's because it's very thin, right? And it would work well with W2 1095 5160. As I said, I mean, when I my teacher, Master Berardo from Brazil, that's what he uses. He does beautiful Damascus. He uses 1095 and 15 and 20. I think I sent you guys some pictures of the stuff that he does, and that's all he uses. That secret sauce, man. The only thing, as I said, don't leave any red steel above it, because it will flare up. But it's no big deal. I mean, you just put a lid on it, and it's gonna, smother out.
Kerosene next.
No big deal. But yeah, if you try it,
kerosene.
You're gonna love it.
If you ever decide to market this stuff, Odacir, though, I think you've got a perfect name for it. You probably ought to trademark it. Napalm.
Yeah, Pinto sauce.
Napalm.
Pinto sauce. I like that. Pinto sauce.
Pinto sauce. Napalm.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's great.
That's the name of the podcast today.
Pinto sauce. Yes.
Nah, I don't know.
Pinto sauce.
But yeah, man.
Does the Pinto sauce make you gassy? Inside joke.
Yeah. When I was taking those classes and he was talking about, I said, "Man, nah, come on, man. Nobody. I never heard of it. You know, every maker I see on YouTube or anywhere, even Eric and everything. You know, they're talking about Parks 50 and vegetable oil, motor oil, whatever kind of oil, right? So I said, you know what? He knows what he's talking about. He makes some beautiful knives, top-notch products. I'll give it a try. So went in, never looked back.
Well, now this is from Colombia, though, right?
Brazil, huh?
What?
Oh, Brazil.
Brazil.
Yeah.
Brazil.
So, you know,
He's only one of the he's one of the three masters in South America. By the way, he's mastered by the ABS and the Italian Association of Knife Makers.
I've watched
too.
some of his videos. But I will tell you that it just reminds me of when I was over in China. We had to get some natural gas for a process. So this guy said, I've got it. And we went back to work, and this lady shows up on a bicycle an hour later with this big inflatable balloon. I'm talking weather balloon on a bicycle, holding it up, as she's coming down the street. It's not floating. She's having to hold it up. That she went and got natural gas, put in a balloon, and had this thing was going to bring it into our plant. We were like, no, it's not happening. That's how I feel about your secret sauce.
Safety.
Yeah, safety.
Safety
first.
10th.
No, but I mean, it works, man. Hey, whatever works, right? And I used it with Odacir V2, 5160, 1084.
Don't forget.
I want to try W2 because I want to do some crazy hamons.
Mm-hmm.
Actually I gotta look in to buy me some steel maybe later tonight or tomorrow, and I'll definitely get me some W2. I want to make me a nice another long buoy with a nice hamon line in there, and W2 they say is pretty good. So
it is. I love W2. It's like my favorite steel.
So
I just got some of that 52-100 though. I'm anxious to use that.
52-100 is good. A small peculiarity of 52-100 that I discovered after making two chef-style knives for those is that it picked up a little bit of a warp on both of them. Yeah, nice. 52-100 warped more than my Odacir V2. I don't know why, if I did something wrong there, but I had them 52-100 pick up a slight warp where the Odacir V2 did nothing, or the 5160. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong there, but I had nice and even temperature all over the blade, and even then when it still picked up a slight warp to the right.
Mm-hmm.
So it was two knives in a row that did it. So I don't know if it's 52-100 related deal, or because I'm using the same process as the Odacir V2, but my Odacir V2 comes nice and straight, no pulling to left or right or anything.
How thick was the stock net?
It was 4 millimeters at the spine and tapered down to near zero at the edge, 2-inch wide. So I mean, maybe I having too little material before the quench.
Yeah, I don't
Did
you lay it down on something after you pulled it out of the?
No. It goes and I put it on a vise, holding by the handle, and just let it finish cooling down before I do my file. I mean, it comes out as hard as it gets, right? But a little bit of a warpage there. No big deal. I was able to bring it back using my small hammer technique, and perfect, right? No,
nice.
Afterwards, nice and straight.
Yeah.
But just a little something that
Think about
every steel has its own little
quirks.
peculiarity,
Yeah.
right?
Have you guys ever heard of 5100?
No, not familiar with it.
I wonder what the
Uh,
difference
it's-
between
it-
that and 52100 is.
It's a ball bearing steel, but just a little note. USAKnifemaker.com has some 3.5 inch wide by 36 inch by, I think it's like 0.135 thickness, like $20.
I mean, at that price,
Yeah.
might as well give it a try and see what
And
comes out.
yeah, I ordered some, so that should be coming in. But they said to heat treat it just like 1095 was their recommendation. It's got the same kind of chemistry. It's a little different, and I looked at it. It doesn't have the amount of chromium that 52100 has. I think 52100 is like 1.5% chromium. It doesn't have quite as much as that, but it does have chromium.
Yeah.
I really like the 52100, especially for kitchen cutlery. It works really nice.
Oh yeah,
It holds a really good edge, even with a very fine blade. And for those that like the steel without a patina, it holds the steel, from getting a patina a little bit longer than the other steels that I used before. I mean, 5160 will, as soon as you cut an onion or a tomato or a piece of steak, it will grab a patina. Same thing with the Odacir V2. And don't mention 1095. I mean, boy, I had a 1095. I cut something, it turned black right away. I was, ooh, boy, did I do something wrong with this? But it is just the way it is. So, I stayed away from 1095 for a while after that.
I've got a year's worth of 1095 right now, and I've worked with it so much. I've got 1084 and some 80 CRV2, but I have worked with 1095 so much that I've just kind of perfected working with it and don't have any issues with it. So
yeah. Me too.
it's not a bad steel.
You would
one
have
thing
to
that
using
you
a
have to
coal
be very,
forge with 1095.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I will tell you the one thing you have to be careful of, and that's why using a coal forge or charcoal forge and not, you can't walk away from it. You can't stick it into that yellow portion of the fire, and you cannot overheat it, because if you do, that starts to grow, and you quench it, and it looks like it's just so uneven on top. Looks like stucco is what I call it. But if I set and manage it and do a very good job, I had a problem in a long time. They come out just nice, and it's a very easy, quick cleanup. But I went through my stages of melting 1095 to getting it too hot, making stucco finishes, and finally got to where I can use it. So I actually like the steel, but I think listening to you guys and talking about pops, I'm going to branch out a little bit. I did pick up a new piece of leaf spring. I've got a buddy that has a auto shop here in town, and he called me today and said, hey, I got something for you. So if you guys ever need a piece of leaf spring, don't buy any. I've got so much. I'll be happy to send you a piece of whatever length you need. So
Yeah,
Nice.
I got a life supply of coil
Yeah,
springs.
yeah,
I think it's back in the shop.
you just reject their
you know.
car, and then you take their springs. And
Oh yeah.
this car has no
you
springs.
go.
You shall
give it
not
to me.
pass.
So Pinto
You know.
sauce, and you shall not pass.
Has any of you guys ever used the Yeah. That's great. Yeah,
Oh,
what you
sweet.
got there, Eric. Yeah. That's a monster spring.
Was that,
right
like
there.
1
I
inch
got that from the guys
diameter?
I got that from the guys at Atlas Forge. They hooked me up with this. I was talking with them and Jason Knight, and they were giving him the rundown of the whole point behind this. They had these tested to see what the steel makeup was, because it's quote unquote kind of like virgin steel. It's never been used for the machine that it was made for, but it's 86 or it's 5160. But it has a little bit different makeup than what you would have on a leaf spring, and it's supposed to have better edge retention than my 5160 knives that I already have, and that bad boy is chunky. But yeah, I'm gonna be making
So,
some
Man,
it-
that's
it's
going to
a
make
cool
a good
looking-
integral.
knives that have a.
So
Yep. It's gonna have integral bolsters.
it's going to be a
Integral
good time
bolsters.
hammering that down. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep.
What does how is
coming-
the edge retention?
Coming summer, I want to try to do some hand forging.
How has the edge retention
I'm gonna
been?
be able to move outside, and I'm gonna. I want to try to do some with those coil springs that I have. I mean, I have a whole bunch of them in the shop.
You felled a lot of cars.
You know. Oh yeah. And I was going to ask you. I mean, especially Eric, if you ever use the center shaft of a strut or a shock. I mean, they seem to be some kind of
Chromium.
high chromium steel. I don't know if you ever used to make a knife out of it. I have access to a whole lot of those too, so I don't know if that would be like a.
There are so
good
many
idea
cars
to
that aren't
use
passing
one of those.
inspection because they're just missing suspension.
You shall not pass.
I have not. I haven't tried the shaft yet, but there are people on YouTube that have done that. Heavy Forge. No, it's not Heavy Forge. It's what is it? I can't remember the exact YouTube channel, but Forging Hard. It's a guy from Korea, and he uses all kinds of reclaimed steels. Makes like
You sure
a
that's not a
YouTube video
Norwegian?
every 2 days about completing a knife.
You sure that's not a Viking guy?
No,
You-
he's
You'll have to tell you the
definitely
story
Korean,
later.
dude.
We'll have to tell you the story.
It's interesting because he works in a motorcycle shop in Korea that has motorcycles that you would see in America. And it's like an Americanized motorcycle shop that is in Korea, which I didn't even know really existed. Because you think of small cars and stuff like that, not, Harley Davidsons. But he made one out of one of those. And that bad boy was pretty cool. And supposedly, yeah, they have crazy edge retention because they're, it's that tool steel style where they have like chromium and vanadium and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
vanadium
I've
gives
seen
it a
it
lot
done.
of toughness. Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, I have access to a lot of those.
So yeah, we'll
So
keep it family friendly, Eric. But just so you'll know where that comment came from, today I received a text message from a Viking friend of mine over in Norway and another group that I'm in with 3 other Norwegian guys, and it was a picture that I guess he had meant to send for his wife. So I will tell you, I've seen. Accidentally, what is seen sometimes cannot be unseen, and let's just say he was highly embarrassed. So
That's a different type of forging hard.
yeah. So let's forge ahead and let's go into our next sponsor. So we'll be right back.
Hey listeners, let's take a moment today to thank one of our sponsors for today's show, and that sponsor is Ameribraid Grinders. Eric and Kevin over at Ameribraid have sold thousands of these grinders, and they are super nice guys, and their customer service is excellent. I would know. I've been personally using their 2x72 grinder now for 2 years, and it has changed my knife making to a whole new level. So if you're in the market for or looking to upgrade from that 1x30 or 2x42, then give Ameribraid a look. There you'll find they have 3 packages of grinders to offer. They have a mastery package, a foundations package, and a get grinding package, in which all of them come at different price points. So I'm sure you'll find something that'll suit your needs as a knife maker. Also, Ameribraid has a ton of innovative attachments for their grinders. So listeners, you can find out about all of this at www.ameribraid.com. Go give them a look, see what they have to offer today. And now, back to the show.
Holy crap.
So, forging ahead, guys. Welcome back. I received some questions. We're still laughing from our Viking friend forging over in Norway for his wife. So I've received some questions I've been collecting, and we've got the... All right, no more laughs. We've got the list of questions here from some folks, and I'm going to read them to you now. So the are you ready? The first the first guy's name is David Blades. David Blades. And his question for knife makers is, when do the chicks start falling head over heels for knife makers?
Haven't happened to me yet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
Shocking enough,
not gonna happen.
most of
for-
us are married.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was about to say it's not gonna happen for me. So.
All right. David Jink says, what knives would you try to make as a one-off just to see if you could?
I did one
yes.
just now. The last one, the large buoy with the elk handler. That is a one-off.
The white one or the brown
probably
handle?
The
I
brown
love them
one.
both, but yeah.
I mean, both of them. They were both one of a kind. You know, even if I tried, I don't think I could remake those.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. And
Yeah, I would. Oh yeah.
go ahead, Joey.
I would like to
as he's unwrapping.
I'd like to replicate some kind of like one-off, David Fisk style kind of buoy, kind of like Odacir's, just a real traditional, all-American, big buoy.
Yeah, I think the name for that style is a New Frontier or
Yes,
something
like a
that,
frontier
something along
style
those lines.
buoy.
Yeah,
I like.
Love those.
Yeah.
Love those.
Davy Crockett.
Oh, see, Eric is
Just,
showing off his little,
Dude,
his
look
little,
at that thing.
AKA
Are
little.
we allowed to
dagger
mention
there.
this yet, Eric, or is it still mum's the word?
Oh yeah, definitely allowed to mention it.
So
that's
people can't see this,
You gonna
but
keep the
Eric's
name?
holding the Darth Maul, and I don't know what he's going to call it. We've called it that, but he's got this dagger that's got two blades, one on each side, and a red handle in the middle. So it's eight ground bevels. And how long is that?
Sick.
30 inches? 30? I mean, it's
almost 27 inches.
yeah.
Man, look at that handle.
Almost 27.
Thing came out good.
Yeah, so he's been making this beautiful, but I mean, practically about many things you do is just a experiment and to see, challenge me now, see if I can make this, because you do the Makers Challenge or the YouTube challenge with a lot of the guys out there, right?
Yes, I do, and the whole point behind mine is, and I say this in most of my videos, there's traditional ways to make some things, and I like making some traditional things, but all of my knives are going to be unique. They're always going to be I'm pretty sure Eric made that. And it's, I like doing the crazy one-offs. Not everybody, but a lot of people in the competition made traditional style daggers, whether they be big or small. A lot of people would think of them as daggers. And my goal was to, just go ridiculous with it and, make it a me thing. And again, I like making one-offs. I make multiple blades that are the same and all that because it challenges your ability to replicate something. But definitely love the one-offs.
What are you going to do with the Darth Maul? Is that one that's going to be prized and kept for a long time?
It is going to be kept. I'm selling my Quran buoy, and I've kept the one from the first challenge, the K-tip Gaiuto that has all the Mokamegane kind of copper and steel and all that's in it, because that was my pride and joy because of how much work it took to make that thing.
You have to get a martial artist that's. Yeah, you have to get a martial artist that's at least brave enough to set and sling that thing around just so we can see it flying like a propeller.
Me, I am that guy. So whenever I was younger, I did stick and knife fighting and whatnot. Did all kinds of different things. So it was I twirl this thing around like a son of a gun.
Don't take out your armpit.
I highly recommend you get like a nice sleeve or some kind of a chainmail shirt.
Yeah. Do not do not debone
Let
your
me add
armpit.
something. Let me add something.
I'm telling you,
You're gonna keep that blade until I find where you live and I steal it from you, man, because that looks sick.
Oh yeah.
If I ever find out where you live, I'm stealing that thing from you. I'm breaking in overnight and taking it, man. 'Cause,
it
where's
is crazy.
where's my Darth Maul? Yeah, Pinto took it.
So here's one, and I'm going to try and say this name correctly. Bucktok, Bucktok, Bucktok Nguyen, Nguyen. Bucktok Nguyen says, if Bucktok Nguyen, that can't be somebody's name. If you could have a knife from any maker, who would it be?
Any maker? I would choose my teacher, Master Berardo from Brazil. I fell in love with the styles of his knives. His
He's your master.
Damascus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of. I haven't seen every master that is out there, but from the ones that I've seen, his Damascus is head and shoulders above. Man, it's just beautiful. He came out with a Damascus pattern called the Trinity, and it looks like it's shimmering. You know, when you bring it up to the light, and the dark and the light parts of the blade, it shimmers, man. It's absolutely amazing. You know, Eduardo Berardo, that's his name. Okay, if you ever want to Google it,
He's on YouTube as well.
it's
So
spelled.
yeah.
Yeah. He's on YouTube as well.
If you send me his
He
address,
got
I'll put
his,
it in the show notes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you ask me, of course, I'd be honored to have any one of your knives, and I'll send you my address. You all make beautiful knives, but somebody that also inspired me, Eric, early on I was watching your videos, but somebody who inspired me with his 2x4 block and his cold breath coming out of his mouth and his cinder block little shop, and it was dirty, and he had a Polish accent. If I could have a Trollski knife, nobody would be allowed to touch it. Yeah,
That's
just a
valid.
remarkable guy.
Yeah, he makes beautiful
Yeah, he
knives too, man.
does.
You know, we
Yeah,
gotta work out and see if he can come as a guest.
I would
one day.
hope that he could sometime, but I will tell you this, that what he took a break for a while, but what he puts into his videos and inspiring people, and then his knives are beautiful. I mean, Eric's knives are beautiful, but there's just something exotic and cool about him. He made this one video where he makes this simple knife, takes at the end, he's walking down in the forest, he's making a cup of coffee, he's making a fire, he strikes the fire, and he's just sitting there, with his knife and, eating and drinking his coffee in the woods or taking a
Yeah, the
drink.
cinematography is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Very artistic.
yeah, and it's just that I would say his videos inspired me to take the plunge, the plunge line. I'll take the
too.
plunge line.
Way back when.
That's not
Plunge
funny.
line.
Take the plunge line. And
To-do.
but yeah, his cinematography, his story that he tells was good as well. And then I went to Eric and who's the Art of Craftsmanship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, great
Another
channel.
inspiring. And there's a bunch of good guys out there. I can't list them all, but I would say that's it. So Trollski would be the knife guy I'd love to have.
Yeah.
What
I'll
about
go
you?
next.
Yeah.
Dude, there's two makers that come to mind, and both of them are kind of on different spectrums as far as their style of knife making. But I'd say my first one would be Bert Foster. I just absolutely love his style of knife making, man. And when you see one of his knives, you're like, that's Bert Foster's knife. And it's just, his stainless Sanmai and Damascus is just absolutely beautiful. I mean, everything's just so exaggerated and clean, crisp lines, just the way he does his handles. And the other guy would be Carl Anderson. This dude makes some of the most beautiful takedown buoys, man. I mean, he's on YouTube. You can find him on YouTube. I've tried searching for him on social media. I've never really been able to find him, but he makes some of the coolest takedown buoys, and his work is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
May I amend my section there? Another guy that I would really love to have a knife is from.
We said no. No,
Kyle,
don't say it.
Kyle
no,
Royer.
we said no.
Too late. Too late.
Yeah,
Too
he
late.
makes
Kyle Royer,
yeah.
man.
Who?
Yeah, his stuff is way up there.
Say his
too,
name
man.
again.
It's on a level all its own as well. Kyle
Oh yeah,
Royer.
yeah.
Him and Nick Wheeler makes some pretty freaking awesome knives too.
Yeah.
But
How about you, Eric?
Okay, so for me, for one, some of the people that y'all had mentioned, whenever I originally started setting out to do YouTube, I watched a ton of knife videos, saw all of the, the Walter Sorrells and Trolsky and Green Beetle and, all those guys, Art of Craftsmanship.
yeah.
The crazy thing is, I was watching all those channels, and I've still put out like twice as many videos as they have. It's awesome seeing their content and the way that they do things, and I love those guys as makers, and I've always loved Trolsky. His videos are absolutely just awesome, and I love people who put that work into the cinematography, because they might only put out 1 to 2 videos a month, but they're epic. They're
telling a
videos,
great story,
and I love.
Yeah,
that.
he's got a new.
Absolutely.
He has a new shop that he's getting ready to introduce. It's coming online.
Yeah.
So he's going
Yeah,
to
I've
be
been
out
watching
of the.
that, and yeah, that's going to be really cool. And watching him, it's going to be cool just having him back on YouTube to where we can actually watch him and enjoy him. But if I was to pick knife makers, I would say I'd throw out 2. One is Sharap off YouTube. He makes some of the craziest Damascus that you will ever see that doesn't even make sense, where it's like dragon breath down the center of it, and he made it with like screws and random stuff. If y'all haven't watched Sharap's stuff, it's SHARUP. It's some of the craziest things ever, and whenever he makes like a Damascus, he'll actually forge it in a way to where the Damascus,
Oh boy.
it's set up to where the edge still actually curves up with the edge, and all of the stuff's in the center of it. I mean, it's some of the craziest. It doesn't even make sense, some of the stuff that he makes. I would love to have one of his, and then one of Jason Knight's kukris, one of those big old kukris that Jason Knight makes. I want one of those. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just I watch a lot of Jason Knight
Knight
stuff.
is off of Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Who is up in Pennsylvania? I think it's Jason Knight, right? I think he got that Knight's Forge up in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So
he does.
Tennessee. Oh yeah.
Is it
He was having some classes not long ago. He had a whole bunch of guys forging for a day or 2 up there.
That's actually
I
one of
thought
the things
about
that he
joining,
does.
but it was
Is
Yeah.
the
a bit
classes.
off of my
Yeah.
drive. Going to talking a little bit of Trotsky's knives, man. They look like simple construction, but it's so neat and clean, man. It's
The colors
I
that he brings
watch his,
together.
Yes, I watch his videos a few years back when I first started thinking about making knives, and I cut an oil drum in half as my forge for my charcoal, and I was looking at the stuff that he was doing, and I said, man, I really like the way he did his knives, even years ago, and I saw his videos lately, and he's putting up some really beautiful knives, man.
His knives, what intrigues me is that they're all a little bit different, this, that, and the other, but if you see it, aside from his maker's mark, you can tell a Trolsky knife. It's just a beautiful knife.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. I mean, the clean lines,
the simplicity
nice.
of them,
profiles. I mean, the handles. I like the way he does the handles as
I
well.
love the dark steel,
pretty,
the dark
pretty.
steel on the polished grind. Just unique. You'll get me going, and I won't shut up about him. But yeah, if I could have lunch with him someday, that'd be a great thing to spend some time just kind of picking his brain.
Yeah, maybe you could reach out and see
Yeah.
if you could be a guest one day.
Yeah, maybe
it would be nice and
Maybe we
interesting.
can do that. So I got one last question here. Len Podlufsky says, "What hobbies do you guys have besides knife making?" Eric says, "What hobbies?"
Way
don't I
too
have?
many.
Yeah.
I'm
I
a
don't know
collector of hobbies.
I don't know where to start. Yeah.
Yeah, for me it depends on the mood that I'm in. I mean, tomorrow I'm planning to take my camera out with my 400 millimeter lens and go to the Potomac next to the little rapids there, and there's a lot of blue herons flying around, and just shoot some birds with a camera and not a gun, right?
Ah.
And I think I sent you
kinda like
guys
a
a
little
couple
evil
of pictures before. So yeah, I like photography.
Cool. That's cool.
And telling people you shall not pass.
Yes. Well, that is a professional thing.
Yeah.
While
yeah,
taking
but it
their
sounds like you've
springs.
turned it into a hobby and a pastime.
Well, I do enjoy telling people you shall not pass. I mean,
Dude, I'm going to get some t-shirts that say that. You shall not pass.
Do you know that he's up for an award this year as the #1 inspector in the state of Maryland?
actually, I got one last
Yeah,
year.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I got a little coin with the Maryland State Police and Automotive Safety Enforcement.
Well, you know that
Division.
they shut down the toll booths going across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. It's because there ain't no cars to go across it from Maryland anymore. They didn't pass. They got to get some more cars so they can open it back up. So, guys, let's take a little break.
As knife makers, we all know the importance of quality handle material. Something that's both tough yet beautiful will increase the value of your knives and allow you to build something that your customers will love. When it comes to the handle material for my knives, I choose Swikowski scales. Run by Sarah Halpane and her mentor Alex Swikowski, they have a combined 20 years experience making handles and knives. They offer stabilized burls, exotic hardwoods, vintage micartas, and some of the best segmented scales in the business. Find them on Instagram at Swikowski Scales or on their website, swikowskiscales.com. That's SWIECZKOWSKI scales.com.
So welcome back, guys. Hey, so we were talking during the commercial break a little bit about, making batches of knives or doing the one-offs, and we've all got a little bit of opinion on that. Of course, my opinion's always been I love making one-offs and moving on, but Eric and others have made a case for making repeat knives, and I will tell you, I've found since I started making these fleshers that each one gets a little more refined and gets a little easier to make. So I think batching knives has some pluses, even though I still like to make one of these, one of that. So I don't know, what do you guys think?
Eric.
Wanna
Okay.
take
So
that?
one of my
Eric.
one of my things that, or the reasons why I like doing the batch knives is, like you said, you develop your skill quick. And whenever I first started making knives, I would make them, did a lot of batches. If I was going to make a neck knife, I made 3 or 4 neck knives. If I was going to make a particular style of knife, it was going to be replicated at least 3 or 4 times. And part of that, whenever I first started, was if I'm going to make one style, I know that 2 or 3 people are going to want it, so I might as well just make them, and then they would sell. And all of them did sell that way. And then I got to the point to where I felt like I was doing too much repetition, and I kind of went away from it. But the awesome part about doing that repetition and doing those batch knives is you develop your skill so fast without even realizing it, because you're having to repeat a knife. So you're trying to repeat the grinds, you're trying to repeat the plunge line angles, you're trying to repeat the flats, where the transition from the bevels into the flats go, your handle profiles, all that stuff. And by trying to replicate that and keep it consistent, your ability and your skill grows so fast that it is awesome to do it that way. If you're going to make a knife, it can be a unique knife. Just make 3 of them. And then you don't feel like you're just sitting there making batch knives. You can feel like you're still doing something unique, but you're just making them 3 at a time. That way you can end up selling them and you can develop your skill really fast. There's a good pro to it. What do y'all think?
Yeah.
Eric,
Yeah.
do you use jigs, or are you mostly freehanding all of your grinding these days?
Everything that I do is free-handed. The only thing that I use nowadays is still just the plunge line jig. And all that does, it's not so much to keep the plunge line even, it gives me a leverage point. It gives me a big handle, so no matter how small the tang is on the knife or the knife itself, it gives me that big piece that I can actually grip, and it's also a heat sink.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm trying to hog off material pre-heat treat, I can have that on there, and it doesn't really matter how hot I get the blade, because I can sit there and really force into it, because that stays pretty cool versus how hot the blade may get, and it just lets me grind a little bit longer. But it's not really set up for any type of real jig. It just is something that I like, but that's it. Everything, it's not super easy to do angled plunge lines with a bevel jig. You can do it, but you kind of have to set your blade really weird on a bevel jig in order to do those angled plunge lines, and I love a good angled plunge line instead of a 90-degree. Yeah, but that's about it.
Yeah, I use an OBM jig, and I love using it because it's really clean and easy to use. I've freehanded a half dozen knives, and while they look good, I still haven't developed that finesse to get that when, like looking at those 8 grinds you did on that Darth Maul. Every one of them's almost perfect. So that's an area of growth for me. I know that I'm jumping out of the old. Well, maybe I guess I'm not jumping out of this discussion, because probably if I made several knives and continued to make them, freehanding them, I'll probably develop more confidence in myself. And maybe so once I get a 2x72 and able to adjust the speed on it, because 2x42 just tends to can get away from you real quickly. So the jig works very well in that particular one. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, we were talking about doing multiple knives versus one off, so I just thought about that as you were discussing it.
So with that, with what
What do you
you're
think,
saying
Pinto?
there, doing multiple
Well,
knives, having those jigs are actually really nice, because you can set a point on your jig and replicate the knife over and over and over again. So there's not any harm in using a jig for doing batch knives. It is a little bit of a pain in the butt to do batch knives and freehand the grinds, because you do have to focus so much so you don't get one little blip and then you got to change all 4 knives to match that knife that you just messed up. So it does, I always tell people, do whatever makes sense for your ability. If you want to freehand grind. If you want to use jigs. Anybody who talks trash about someone for the way that they make their knives, those people get on my nerves so bad, because you're a knife maker with the way that you make knives. If everybody made knives the same exact way, this would be such a small craft. But we're ingenuitive,
Right.
so we just
Yes.
Yeah.
I
do
agree.
what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
I agree.
process of going forward and figuring out the way to do it, I think that's the most important thing than whatever method you use. I use 3 methods, by the way. I have a angled piece of aluminum that I use as a jig, right? I have a tilt plate. I don't know if you ever seen those. a tilt plate, and I will do freehand as well. It all depends on what particular part I'm working on the knife. If I do something that I really need a precise plunge line, I will probably clamp it to that a piece of angled aluminum, and I'll go to work with it. Like you said, I have a bit more mass for me to hold and to manipulate left and right or whatever angle I'm trying to achieve. And it works for me. A lot of people, I've seen some people trash talk, oh, you have to freehand. If you don't freehand, you're not a true knife maker, this and that or the other. I mean, I've seen some people say that on YouTube, right? I kind of felt like, damn, man, I'm working this way and it's working for me. I'm making some knives coming out all right. I mean, it's, you know, it's it's funny.
If you're not
I have
napping
no issues
flint,
with
if you're
any.
not napping flint, you're not a true knife maker.
I guess, go back to, I mean, how far back do you want to go, right?
A sharpened antler.
So,
And I've been watching this guy.
So,
I've been watching this guy napping flint for a few months now, and enjoy his videos. He does a lot of prehistoric type things, and it's just amazing. And he'll be making an axe head, and he'll hit it, and all of a sudden he'll say, "Okay, now it's going to be an arrowhead," because it didn't break quite right.
But those things are deadly
Oh
sharp,
yeah.
amazingly sharp. It's all those little serrations that comes out as you're napping it is like nothing else. I mean, a jagged cut will bleed more than a smooth cut. For anyone who's been cut with a little steak knife.
Yeah.
Or will know how much more it bleeds. I mean, all that tearing is terrible.
Yeah, the Aztecs.
How about
the
you,
Aztecs
Mr.
running
Joe?
around in that movie Apocalypto with their obsidian knives and all that were pretty freaking deadly.
I loved
Yes,
that movie.
I've seen that movie. Loved it
good
too.
movie.
Yeah.
Joey,
I wanna make
you
one of those
making
crazy
batches?
stick
You've made a
things.
couple here in a row that were similar, but
Yeah, I thought about
where you
it.
throw the
those crazy stick things that have like the stones in the edge of them, like they're like rectangle, and they have like the stones
Yeah,
that are
like
Oh,
a
yeah.
axe sword kind
Yeah.
of deal.
yeah. I really want to make one of those. Those things are freaking epic.
Yeah.
I'm at that point now where I just want to start making batch knives. I make so many different other profiles and whatnot. I'm just kind of at that point where I want to settle on a drop point hunter that I'm gonna always sell. Hidden tang bowie, a chef knife, and replicate them instead of doing all these 100 different designs I have on knife print. I'm just I'm at the point where I want to be have more consistency and because with the designs I do have, there's I've set up to a point where I can do so many different handle combinations, bolsters, no bolsters, just different things. And so in doing that, I think Erick's right. You just get better at doing that particular thing, which helps you move on to doing the one-offs and creating, just works of art. And so I'm all for batch making. I mean, so I would agree with Erick, yeah. And I mean,
So if I were to do batches, I would probably order them already water jetted from a company, and that way I would keep them all the same profile. I think that's one of the reasons why I don't do it on that style of a batch. I mean, every one that I make is a one-off, and even if I try to make it another, it's not going to be exactly the same.
no. I mean, and even like the two I just finished, they're not exactly the same to each other. I mean, they look similar, but I may have taken more material off, on the spine on one than the other one.
Yeah, but that's what makes them special
it's
too.
just
Because if everybody had the same thing, then it just becomes another production knife. I actually enjoy seeing the little flaws because there's not a knife I haven't made where I didn't accidentally hit the grinder when I was trying to shape a handle, and or I mean, everything, a different thing with every knife, but every knife is constantly correcting things I want to improve. I won't necessarily say mistakes, but correcting things I want to improve, or things I didn't necessarily mean to do, or a quick, yeah, and eventually, if I build something out of wood, I can easily cut my 45 degrees, and I've got my 2x4s, and I put it together, and boom, I've got a wooden box, and I can make them all day long. But with making a knife, and it's being made by hand, I guess same way you do with carpentry, but there's just so many variables that go into it. There's no one that can look exactly the same.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're not.
I tried it. Once upon a time, I tried to make TheRiot the same. It didn't come out. I got two to look alike, but the final product came out. One is slightly thicker on the cutting edge than the other, and one I kind of almost ruined it, so I had to lower my profile and make it a little narrower. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I just screwed up, but
It's funny.
it is
When
what
I
it
look
is.
at your knives, I see the same knife over and over and over, and I mean that in a good way, because I'm like, this guy has
Oh, look at Eric.
yeah, this guy has perfected
batch knives.
Yeah, Eric's holding up a bunch of knives. He's getting ready. That he's batching. But I look at your Odacir, these knives that you make, and I see this same knife over and over and over, and it's like you've perfected it. How do you make them the same every time? But I guess being the maker, you see the differences in every knife, and if you hold them up side by side, I'm sure you can. But again, those little nuances, those little differences, those little things, because you hit the grinder here, or you had the angle here, or you left this a little thick and whatever, and you had to overcompensate, or you compensated for it this way. It just makes each one special. So
That's the thing about freehand grinding is, you may be trying to feather in the, where the plunge lines are, and you may go a little too far, and and you're making batch knives, and so you're like, okay,
There goes your Ricasso.
now I got to go back to these other 2 or 3 and kind of make them, like Eric was saying, kind of match them, and so now you're starting to get into that, and it's like, okay, I mean, that's just one of the things about freehand grinding.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But
So
it's
one of
full respect for freehand grinders, man. It's something that I still have to come up to and get good at.
Oh, I'm not
but if
saying
you
I'm
do-
good.
No, no. What I'm saying is people that can grab a knife and grind tape to the whole thing free-handed. For me is an amazing thing. Okay,
It took me a while.
I wish I could. Yeah, I could. I wish I could get that good. But yeah, man, it's hats off. Okay, it's I have, as I said, I have to use 3 styles of grinding, depending on the knife that I'm making.
Yeah.
And
it's,
there we go.
And even it's not even like hollow ground those rougarous, and I mean they're not perfect. They're, as much as I can try, and get them to be, they're not. But I'm gonna be doing like 4 more, so, and I think I'm gonna do something different with them this time. I think I might just, instead of hollow grinding them, I might just do like full flat grind on them, kind of give it a different look, see how it turns out.
one of the best thing about making batch knives like that that are handmade, you can't replicate that. Even though they're slightly different, that's what makes it a unique handmade object. That even though someone else might have something like it, they don't have that exact same thing. So even though you might have ground your bevels up, 1,000th or so higher than the different one, the profile is still the same, and they're all slightly still unique. And one of the guys that I was talking to at Blade Show, Texas, Logan Bracken from Bracken Blades Forge on YouTube, he knocked out like 60 or 90 knives or something like that in a week for that for that event, and they were all water jetted, but they were all hand ground, heat treated by them, the whole process. And I'm pretty sure they were all Pops 8670, but they were all
Did you
water
say
jetted,
90?
so they had the same profile. Yeah. And he had to do handles on them, everything.
He said 90.
It's like their stock knife. Yeah, there was their
Yeah.
stock knives. So they had sheaths that were made for them and all that, and that was the ones that they could just sell $150 a piece. Boom, 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 boom. Knock them out. They're all slightly unique, but all very similar. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, talk about some
That's nice.
Red Bull and coffee injections, man. 90 in
90.
a week. That's some crazy, man.
I could spend some money.
You
on
saved
Pops.
abrasives by getting them water jetted. You don't have to profile all that.
What was he drinking and eating, man? Are you
So
nuts? Pure Red Bull and coffee for a whole week.
Here, this is coming off of the Associated
Give them some of that
Press.
Pinto sauce.
This is coming off the Associated Press. Chris Jones is quoted as saying, "I was humbled and honored to have won the Best in Show Tactical Knife at the Texas Select Custom Cutlery Event." And so you can read that out there on Facebook, of course, but
All knife makers need abrasives, plain and simple. Here at Knives Templars, we're proud to partner with Phoenix Abrasives. I used to get my belts from another company, but they spent more time on marketing than they did customer service, sometimes taking 2+ weeks to ship my order. That's not the case with Phoenix Abrasives. They're obsessed with committing all of their resources to customer satisfaction. Whether you're using a 2x72, 2x42, 1x30, or something else, they've got you covered. They even carry Rhino Wet sandpaper. So go to phoenixabrasives.com/shop and enter promo code Templars10 for 10% off your next order.
So, guys, we've been on here for about an hour and 50 minutes. I guess time to start winding it down so we can spend our weekends with family and making some knives and all that other stuff. So, what are you guys going to be up to the next week or so before we come back together?
I have to decide whether to buy me a 10-inch wheel to make some hollow grinds, which is also going to help me a lot in making these hidden tanks handles, especially making the saddle part and the Coke bottle shape. Right now, I've been doing this freehand.
Wow.
But on a 10-inch wheel, it will help me make those profiles with the wheel already there, giving me a better overall finish. Or I could go ahead and buy me a what's the name I told you earlier today, Chip? The rotary platen. One of the two I'm looking at: rotary platen or a hollow wheel. I am not sure. Joey, go ahead.
May I mention one of our sponsors, Marabraid, sells a nice rotary platen that I do have, and they also sell a nice 10-inch wheel that I also have. So,
Will that fit his OMB or OBM?
Yeah,
a Marabraid uses a
the
2x2 tooling bar, but if you call Eric and talk to him and tell him who you are, I promise you he'll accommodate you.
Yeah, I looked at their website. I think this says two options there, 2 and whatever, and 1.5.
Yes.
The one that I have is 1.5. So I really want either. I mean, right now I cannot afford both because that hollow wheel is like what, $300 or something like that. For
my 10-inch was $310.
Yeah, $300. So, I mean, it's a knife sale. I know that. I mean, I'm looking at a knife as $100, as a possible next tool, right? But there's so many things that I want to put it in my shop that I don't know which one should I go first. I probably gonna stick with the 10-inch wheel.
I would.
For now, and because I also want to do some small skinners with a hollow grind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a possibility there.
Yeah, I love hollow grinding, and most of the rougarous I make, I do a hollow grind. So
Well, I'm excited because
I think you enjoy it.
So,
I'm 90 days out from placing my order with a Mare Braid for a new grinder, and I'm going to get the deluxe package they've got.
oh,
The
nice.
mastery.
Yeah, buy once,
Yeah.
cry once. So, but I'll.
Yeah,
The whole shebang.
Yeah.
you getting the 2 horsepower motor?
I think I talked to you guys or somebody about that, and they said that 1.5 would probably be sufficient. But again, I bought a bass boat
well-
one time, ended up updating the motor because I got a good deal on it with a smaller motor, and realized, hey, sometimes it's easier to turn the power
Yeah.
back. What do you think?
The cool
Man,
thing
I
ab-
got a Harbor Freight 1.5, and I have never run into any problems. I mean, if you tell me there is not enough power, I mean, I don't know what you're grinding, because even it's a Harbor Freight 1.5 horsepower, has been more than sufficient for what I've done so far. I mean, what do you think? I mean,
I think
it's
Harbor
been
Freight.
okay
I think
for
Harbor
me.
Freight is
I
like
mean,
0.3 horse hoof. I don't think it's a whole horsepower. It's a hoof.
Yeah, I
So-
think Eric
so-
had something to say about it.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and get the 2 horsepower. Whenever you run it on 110, it automatically cuts it back. So that way, if you decide to end up doing 220 later,
Oh, okay.
you can run it at 2 horsepower. So you can just get that one motor, and it will automatically
Yep.
run at like 1.5 on 110. You don't have to worry about it. So I would just say get the 2.
Yeah.
That
so
way, if you
you're
ever
telling me
decide
I've
to
been
do
running
the
at
outlet,
3/4 of a horse?
it'll run at about 1.5.
Yep, that's what I did.
Oh, well, I've already
Yeah.
got. I've already
Yeah, so
got
you're
the shop.
telling me I'm been running at 3/4
Yeah,
horse?
I've already got the shop power, so hey, buy once, cry once. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
but what
Yeah.
Eric said, that's what I was gonna say.
good advice.
I mean, the one of my next things too that's been on my Christmas list is a 2 horsepower with with the power regulator there, the
The
Variable
VFD?
frequency. Yeah.
with the VFD.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really want one of those.
So
I really, really want one of those because right now, as I turn my my grinder on, it's full tilt, full power. Man, sometimes I burn some G10. I burn some micarta when I used to do it, and it sucks, man, because they start to delaminate and it gets squishy. I mean, come on. So I really need to get me one of those too.
Yeah.
man.
Eric, what you got coming up next couple weeks?
Well, just working on the shop and getting this Tonto build knocked out, and then of course the dagger challenge. That's pretty much all my focus. I've just got a couple of little final touches to do on the dagger, and then I get to spend like a week and a half editing the video to try and make it as awesome as possible, and then of course just working on that Tonto, and then finishing some of my batch knives so I can get them on my website. Of course, the best part about, again, batch knives is those things tend to sell a lot faster than your one-offs in some cases. But
They do, yeah.
for me, EDCs,
Mhm.
yeah, the EDC knives, you can sell EDC knives. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants something they can put on your hip.
They do,
me
yeah.
selling a cleaver with a knuckle duster on it, that's a very specific person. Or a 16-inch buoy.
You
Yeah,
shall
it's
not
like-
pass.
Yes, very, very specific person to buy
Don't
those.
get any
but
ideas,
the EDCs,
Odacir.
man. EDCs
Now I can see
sell super
Odacir
fast,
dressed
so
up like
I've got
a
few of
little.
those.
Yeah. Odacir dressed up like a little gnome or dwarf from Lord of the Rings with that big
yeah, I
knife
gotta
yelling,
get me
"You
a
will not
Gandalf
pass." Yeah.
hat and the
Yeah, you need
staff.
some beard though, brother. You need a beard.
That would be a young
Yeah.
one, a young Gandalf.
Yeah. Are you going to be in GI Jane too?
Oh, my goodness.
We didn't even go there tonight.
No, I haven't been invited yet.
Oh,
Ooh.
If I do go, I'll bring my own knife, huh?
Yeah.
there you go.
Joey, what's going on down in Louisiana, my friend? What's going on in Louisiana? By the way, you sent out a picture of Boot State Forge. Was that a new tooling you've got to emboss your leather?
Oh yeah, on the sheaths that I'm working on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you just get
Yep.
that?
I got
or have you had that for a while?
No, I've been having it. I was just doing it and just thought I would send y'all a picture.
Looked really cool.
I put it on all my I put it on all my sheets. But
do you emboss your? I was just going to say here.
Go ahead, Chip.
For us guys that emboss our leather, and I'm not sure if Eric, you emboss your leather or not, but we ought to put out. Maybe I'll order the tooling. We will have a Knives Templar.
Knives Templar?
Yeah, and I can emboss those on round coasters, and then we can send them around to each other, and we can emboss our tooling from our shops.
Logo?
Yeah, for our shops. And
yeah.
I don't know, thinking out loud. So.
Yeah, yeah, that would be cool. I always thought we could all of us do a collaboration build on something.
If you want one of my knives, Joey,
yeah.
just ask for
I'm
it.
down.
You don't have to.
Dang it!
I didn't come
figured me out.
come up on your list of people whose knives I'd love to have, and I'm verklempt. Verklempt, I say. So, anyway, the next 2 weeks, other than trying to make up for my sadness now, what else you got going on?
So I'll be making some leather sheets, and also got 4 more Rougarou models to profile and put the bevels in, heat treat, and making a batch of knives.
Yeah.
And then I got this hidden tang buoy I need to finish, and these 2 skinners right here. But I kind of wanted to get some antler and put on actually both of them now. I think I'm going to put antler on both of them. Or some type of bone, something.
Yeah, I've got some
Yes.
extra antler laying around. If you've got a source, perfect. But if not, I can send you some photos of the pile of antler I've got. If you see something in there, let me know. We'll check it out. So, how's baseball going?
Appreciate it.
Yeah, how's baseball going?
Good, man. We're fixing to start the season up. My son finished up school ball and hopped into another league, another rec league.
Yeah.
Called the War Chiefs, and so he's on team Rangers, and I've been helping the head coach. So it's going to be another exciting season. We just started practicing. We have a game Monday, and so but with this new line of weather coming in, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Supposed to have some more severe weather, so
Yeah, I saw that come. Yeah, we'll get it the day after you, I guess. So, I guess Chris for the next couple weeks is going to be gloating and telling us all to respect his knife tie because he's winning some awards over there in Texas.
He deserves.
He
man.
does. He does. You're all
Yeah,
great
man,
knife
he's
makers, and
killing it,
he's
man.
coming to
He
his own.
deserves.
For me, guys, I've got a new adventure. We were talking about hobbies earlier, and maybe we went down a rabbit hole on that one. But I do some backpacking, and my knives, and I've always been involved in art. I play the guitar. But I'm getting ready to fill a bucket list item. You guys may laugh at me, but I've never been hunting, and I've always wanted to hunt. I went for a dad. I had a dad that played golf, so I hunted a lot of golf balls growing up. But I never actually hunted anything. I've caught every bass in the world twice, which you all know. So I'm actually going on my first hunt. Earlier this year. I bought a Benelli 12 gauge, and I will be going turkey hunting here. By the time we do the next show, so hopefully I'll have something good to say there. And so I've got $200 in receipts and gear that I went and bought beyond the gun and the ammunition. So I'll be all camouflaged out there in the forest, and hopefully I will be fortunate enough. I've got somebody sitting me on his honey hole, so to speak. So hopefully I'll have a turkey story to tell you guys next couple of weeks. Other than that, just turning out some knives.
Is that the picture you showed us
Which one's that?
of the turkey?
Well,
Yeah,
that
send a
that
picture
turkey,
with-
that turkey that's the blind I'll be sitting in.
Nice.
Or the tree I'll be
Nice,
sitting
nice.
under, excuse me, I guess I should say. The guy who shot that one was in his own ground blind, but I'll be sitting right there in that nice little feed plot where they say the turkeys are coming in every day. So got a nice little creek that runs down
Awesome.
by it, and they roost about 50 yards away, and they come walking across there. So hopefully I'll get lucky. What were you going to say, Odacir?
Hey man, good luck
Thank
to
you.
you. Well, I was gonna say that next time we see each other and we talking like this, I might tell you a little story of a turkey hunting that I went a few years ago. Something along the lines that what happened to you on the Appalachian Trail. Had some weird stuff happening there. Not gonna go into details now.
I don't want to wait. I
Not
don't.
gonna claim anything.
I don't want to wait for this story now.
No, not tonight. Next time, go kill your turkey.
Okay.
I hope you get a big old gobbler.
Yeah.
Those bastards, they get heavy. I killed a few up here in Maryland. Talking about it, I mean, I think Maryland season comes up now on the 18th. And they get big. I mean, they get up to 25 pounders. You know, I killed two 25 pounders. You know, there's some pretty
Yeah.
big ones in there.
You know what's so weird though? To see them fly, it's like,
Oh yeah,
what
yeah.
in the world is that?
Yeah, I've
It's like-
seen turkeys my whole life. I've just never, tried to put some number 5 or 6 shot through their neck and their head. So I'm looking forward to that.
Aim for the
Yeah,
head.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah, go for the
yeah.
head.
So
You don't want to be chewing some some little lead pellets later on.
Oh yeah.
I almost broke a tooth once. I cooked a nice, beautiful turkey breast, and on the first bite,
Crunch.
there goes a little. Oh yeah,
Ow.
I almost chipped a tooth,
Yeah.
man. Luckily, I had a lot of calcium as I was growing up, so I dodged that one. But yeah, I mean, it's
Superman
not
teeth.
fun.
well, hopefully I will have a good story to tell. But you know what? It's just like fishing. It's not about shooting the bird. That's kind of funny right there. It's not about
Until you see the bird.
it's not necessarily about
Let me tell you
shooting the beard.
something. Let me
Yeah,
tell
go
you
ahead.
something really quick, Chip. Yeah, that heart pounding that you're gonna have when you see that turkey coming down your way, and you hit that call, and you hear the gobbler answer you 200 yards
Yeah.
away, and you hit the call, and then you hear him getting closer to you. You're gonna have your heart pounding like nothing before. I promise you that. And if you don't, never go back hunting, because you're not made for it, man. I'm telling you, that rush that you're gonna feel, I don't think you have ever felt anything like that
Yeah.
before. Even today, if I go hunting for a little bit and I see a squirrel and I want to hit that squirrel, my heart's gonna speed up. That shot of adrenaline, that rush, oh man, it's unlike anything.
Yeah.
It's my drug. I used to go hunting a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
but since I picked up knife making, I kind of tapered out a little bit.
Yeah.
So
well,
you gotta
if I
sacrifice
miss on the
something.
first shot,
But I hope you get one. I hope you get one.
if I miss on the first shot and I go through the next couple of shells, I've got my EDC here, the little flesher that I'll fling at it and get him. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, I'll have a good story to tell. If not, I'll have
you'll
something
see
funny to tell.
the
Go
yeah,
ahead.
you'll see the tip to butt balance in it, like sticking in the turkey's head.
All righty, guys. Well,
one knife stempler
Yeah.
tip. Before we go, one knife stempler tip, especially for
Yeah.
you. If you're going out into the woods, especially now in spring, you can run up to Bass Pro and buy a product called Permitrin.
I wear it as a
I
hiker.
think they
Yeah,
sell,
I've already-
I think it's called Sawyer's Permitrin, because the ticks are going to be thick.
Yeah, I've already, especially if you
And
get
the
the
red
seed,
bug.
the seed
Yeah.
ticks down here. But I've already treated my clothing in Promethium. use it as a hiker and a backpacker, and don't ever get ticks by using it. So
Yes, it's great
it's
stuff.
really, really, really
Great
good stuff.
I love it.
Anybody got any final tips or
Yeah.
tips, ticks, or comments?
This was good. I enjoyed seeing everybody and talking
Yeah.
with everyone. And
Same.
good luck to you, Chip,
look
on your
forward to it.
hunt.
I'll let you know. Y'all have a great evening, and thanks to all of our listeners that are continuing to listen. We hope you subscribe to the Knives Templars, and let us know you're out there. Be sure and submit questions or meet us online at the Knives Templars on our Facebook page. Y'all have a great day.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.